hell are you?
20 of a shot clock. Boy, will bring the ball in.
Come on.
Right in the play. No, Griffin was under the basket.
Come on. Come on, get in, get in, get in. Go, 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 go.
All units be advised. Possible vehicle in question. Late model Silver Impala.
Well, Drive came about for me about a year and a half ago, when I got a call asking if I would have dinner with Ryan Gosling in Los Angeles to talk about doing a movie together. I was in Los Angeles at the same time, coincidentally, working with Harrison Ford in a film that wasn't really happening. It was going to crash. And I'd gotten the flu coming in on the airplane. So Harrison had gotten me these anti-flu drugs, which put the fever down, but it also made me high as a kite, which meant that when I went off and met Ryan in the evening, I was stoned out of my mind. And it was probably hard for us to have a real conversation. I couldn't even look at him because I couldn't move my body. So it's not, you know, it was an odd meeting to start a relationship on. And halfway through the dinner, I asked him if he could take me home. You know, drop me off at the hotel because I just needed to go back and lie down. Going back, we're sitting in the car in silence with the notion of, well, did this amount to anything really, you know? And he turns on the radio to break this awkward silence because it's unbearable. And it's RA Speedwagon's I Can't Fight This Feeling Anymore. Starts to play, and when you're stoned, you do really stupid stuff, like crank up the music really, really loud in the car, and then you start singing to it, which is really obnoxious and something you don't do. But when you're out of it, you do things like that. And I then start to cry because I think I was missing my wife, my kids, and Harrison Ford, you know, wouldn't die in my movie that I was going to be doing with him. So everything just came out of me. But what it did was that it gave me an emotional image. It gave me an idea for a character. And I turned to Ryan for the first time, really looking at him in the car as he's driving along the freeway, which was a great way to suddenly see, to visualize this emotion that has been built up in me. And I say, I know what we're going to do. We're going to make a movie about a man who drives around a car at night listening to pop music, because that's his emotional relief. And Ryan thought about it. He goes, cool, let's do it.
Got a visual heading west on 7th Street Bridge.
He's more like an existentialistic character, you know, because he gets nothing out of being a crook. There's no exchange for money. There's nothing in it for him except the sense of movement. I always say it's an allegory from a man becoming a superhero. You know, because at the end of the film, he goes from being a man in Irene's life that needs a man to fall in love with, the purity of love and the illusion of love, and to protect that and what they have together, he then needs to go to the dark side and become the superhero that destroys everything that's a threat to her in order to protect her. I was meeting a lot of great actresses for the part, you know, people that could clearly do the job very well, but I couldn't connect with them. Because the minute Carey walked through the door, it wasn't that I fell in love, but I knew that I would protect her. So she reminded me very much of my own wife in certain sensibilities, and then I realized, well, this whole film is basically a film about my relationship with my wife and what I would do to protect her. You know, Ryan's character Driver is like the knight that roams the wasteland in search of a mission which is to protect, to be a hero. No, a fetish filmmaker is somebody that makes films based purely on what they want to see. I don't always understand why I make it until much later. Certain things I do, certain things I don't. But for some reason I can always see a connection that leads back to my own evolution, one way or the other. And I've stopped analyzing myself for that specific reason because I don't want to know why. Because if I do, then I'll also find a way not to do it. And I believe art is best when it's all about the flow of emotions. Bronson starts with a man that wants to be famous for all the wrong reasons and realize that art is an act of violence, but his moral is that he'll always be stuck in a cage. While Arising is about a man who escapes from a cage to become a human being. And Drive is about a human being that turns into a superhero for all the right reasons. Well, for me, violence and art is the same thing. Art is an act of violence. It's meant to penetrate and be part of you, but it's not negative, it's not destructive. Real violence is destructive. Physical violence is destructive. War is destructive. And the DNA of violence and war is the same thing. The only difference is that where war destroys, art inspires.